Yo, what is good, my fellow deadheads? Your overlord has returned with yet another JJK Phantom Parade video. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying all of this discussion on categories. As I was going through those videos, I was talking about the fact that looking over the characters in such detail and looking at who is on what attribute, I had determined two things. One, it was very clear cut for me to see a few categories already, just even though it's not a thing in the game yet. And I wanted to run some ideas for categories to you guys, just to kind of give you an idea of how the categories could look in this game. Like I said, it could be something very similar to like Dokkan or something of that nature. And you know, once they add in the first category, every character afterwards is just like not a category leader skill, because we don't have leader skills in this game, but just like every character after on has certain effects that hits multiple different categories. That's also kind of how Grand Cross is too, because like at first Grand Cross you're kind of just putting the best units together, the best units that you could get. Then eventually it turned into, oh, now you want to run a full red team, or you want to run a full blue team, or you want to run a full demon team, you want to run a full unknown team. So it always goes to like some form of meta or some form of category. Any giant classification group of characters that you can put together at that point is truly considered a category. So categories are already in the game, but it's just like I would like to see them implemented and used in much more thorough ways. But if you guys do enjoy these videos, you can go down below and you can hit the like and you can hit the subscribe, so you can hit the notification bell and you can get notified every single time the dead man decides to glide. And you can also comment down below and let me know what you want to know. But we're going to go ahead and just get right into the video, and we're going to go ahead and just start cracking out some category ideas to you. So guys, at a very base level, we're going to say like, and I have like 10 different categories here. I'm going to say, I want to break them off that way. So number one, I do want to just go ahead and say you would need a very base level category type of structure, right? Like super and extreme types from Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle. You would need something to differentiate evil characters from good characters. And I'll be honest with you, in JJK, sometimes the heroes' ideals are a little more morally gray than heroic. So I don't even say good guys versus bad guys. I just say Jujutsu Sorcerer versus non-Jujutsu Sorcerer as a category, because a Jujutsu Sorcerer implies that they are in some way, shape, or form affiliated with the Jujutsu school, because that's kind of like, I guess that's the differentiation between jujutsu techniques and curses, right? It's the same thing. It's all curse energy, of course, but a curse is called curses, and they're called curse users because they are cursing others, right? They are constantly trying to hurt others. It's called jujutsu when you use cursed energy in an effort to help people. That's how I think that the classification or breakdown is, specification, right? So that would be the very initial base level category that they would put into the game. Jujutsu Sorcerer and then non-Jujutsu Sorcerer, so that we can differentiate our good and evil characters. And you know, non-Jujutsu Sorcerer also works because Toji is also somebody who is not a sorcerer at all. He's literally just a sorcerer killer. He is not affiliated with anything, and he has no curse techniques either. But non-Jujutsu Sorcerer makes it work so that even the GOAT can fit within that category as well. And again, curse user can be its own specific category by itself. It can be, which would basically just be, it wouldn't just be non Toji characters, because also I would say that a curse user maybe isn't a curse, right? Because a curse user has to channel their energy and then do the stuff, right? Whereas curses do have techniques, yes, but they are naturally occurring because of curse energy. They are all fully composed of curse energy. So I feel like more so it's like a curse kind of just has to think about what it wants to do, and it can affect this curse energy output that way, right? Versus like a human actually having to learn how to use jujutsu, learn how to channel their curse energy and put it into actual techniques. But that is number one. Jujutsu Sorcerers or non-Jujutsu Sorcerers, which would be super type or extreme. The next classification that I have, guys, is actually categories by grades. So you know, we can have grade 2 category, grade 1 category, grade special grade category. That's pretty much like, I feel like that's kind of similar to like Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3 categories, right? Because there are different people amongst the different grades. Maybe not a lot of people in grade 2. There's quite a few grade 1 sorcerers, and there's still a few sorcerers that we have coming in who are not in the game yet that are going to be grade 1 sorcerers as well, like Kusakabe, for example, right? But then you also have more special grades who need to be added into the game too. And honestly, the special grade is going to be like the strongest out of those categories if they did categories by grade, but I still think it would be pretty cool to have missions kind of like predicated around special grade, right? Because if it's like special grade missions, then they can just literally make the dungeon harder. Special grade characters are literally insane. Sukuna, Gojo, Yuji actually is a special grade because of Sukuna. Who else? Isn't Hikari a special grade? I don't remember if Hikari is a special grade, but I mean, I've seen what he can do. That man is a special grade, bro. Mahito is a special grade. All of the disaster curses are special grades. They're just, they get to a point where they're just based off of Sukuna's fingers at that point, right? And honestly, that could be another kind of like subcategory to counter it on the cursed side, right? Like, Sukuna, I don't know how you would name the category, but the category would basically mean curses that are comparable to Sukuna. But it is all in the air right now, obviously. So that is it for my second category right there. Grade 2 or grade 1, grade categories by grade. Now I'm gonna get into the next few categories, and some of them are going to be a little bit more kind of like abstract concepts. So stick with me here. Now, this one I really was very interested in. I made up a category called Battle of the Strongest. So what the description for Battle of the Strongest would be is anybody who has been literally given that name, the strongest, right, throughout history, throughout modern time, the most dangerous, whatever, right? So whenever Gojo and Geto were at school together, Gojo said that those two were the strongest. I'm going to consider Geto in that category because quite literally it was Gojo and then Geto was like the next step down to actually, be considered the next line of defense after Gojo, right? Because curse manipulation is absolutely busted. The ability to eat any curse and make it do whatever you want. Tengen is a curse ultimately. So like at that point, you could basically eat God if you wanted to at that point, and then just like make reality do your bidding. Insanity, right? But Battle of the Strongest characters that would be in this category: Sukuna, because obviously he is the strongest of all time. Kinjaku, because he's the most dangerous curse user of all time. Then we'll do Geto, because Geto, like I said, him and Gojo called him and Geto, those two themselves, the strongest. So these two will both be in there. Then it's also about people who want to fight the strongest as well. So it may not necessarily be about, everybody else calling you the strongest, right? But we would say that Kashimo would be the strongest because he wouldn't be the strongest, but like Kashimo wanted to fight Sukuna, even though it won't happen for him, but like he wanted to fight Sukuna. And guys, that's some manga stuff. Don't worry too much about it. Just don't look up these names and you'll be perfectly fine. By the time you see all these characters and get all the relevance on it, you will literally forget about the names that I've said in this video, so it is okay. Calm down. Kashimo would be in the category, and who else? Yorozu would be in the category as well. Just another character. I'm not going to get into any specifics of it, but another character who desired to fight Sukuna. So anybody who desires to fight Sukuna or anybody who desires to fight Gojo could be in Battle of the Strongest. Honestly, Mahito tried to run up and goad Gojo inside of the train station, but Mahito was like, oh damn, we're a bad match because I literally can't touch you, right? But he still wanted to try it out. He still wanted to test it out. So like, you could even make an argument for Mahito being in there. Mahito even did that thing where after he touched Yuji's soul the second time and Sukuna told him not to touch his soul anymore, you could even consider when Mahito did his domain for 0.2 seconds like Gojo did in the Shibuya incident, and he did touch Yuji's soul just for an instant, but he literally touched his soul so quickly that like he couldn't even really be interfered with by Sukuna. So like you could say that was like kind of like a sign of rebellion, and maybe Mahito could be in the category. But yes, Battle of the Strongest I think would be a super cool category. Yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the next category. What that category would definitely be lacking is probably like buffers, but I mean like we have plenty of potential to see other characters. I just named 2 characters that aren't even in the game yet and who are not close to being in the game, because I imagine they would probably have to be in the anime beforehand. And I feel like some of the characters that I'm naming here are probably not going to be seen until like season 4 of JJK, to be real with you. I think JJK is going to have 4 seasons in all, 5 if they really want to stretch it out, but 4 seasons in all is what I am assuming. And I think that most of the characters that I'm thinking of, the newer characters I'm thinking of, are probably going to be in season 4 of the show. So it'll be a very long time before we see any of these characters in the game anyway. But we're going to go ahead and go on to category number 4. All right, guys. So we have category number 4, selfish ideals. I say that, selfish ideals is most of the cast of the show. To be honest, most of the characters literally just kind of have their own ideals. I like to say that everybody in JJK is like their own main character, basically. And I think that Gojo is somebody who has selfish ideals, right? Gojo is the strongest, and it's not really selfish, but it's just like, rather than Gojo being somebody who's like, I want to protect everybody, Gojo's like, I want to make everybody stronger so I can find somebody strong enough to like fight me, right? Selfish ideal. Even like Sukuna has explained his ideals before, and you can just tell from his personality. Sukuna is a very selfish individual. Who else is selfish? Mahito just has a pure love for destruction and has this crazy obsession with tormenting Yuji for the rest of Yuji's like days, right? So selfish ideals. Some characters that I said would be in this category: Sukuna, obviously; Mahito, obviously; Kenjaku, obviously. Kenjaku, selfish ideals in the sense that like he's psychotic, honestly. He just does a bunch of fucked up stuff, and he doesn't care about anybody else who would be caught in the crossfire of it. He's selfish in the sense that like he does his stuff just to see what would happen, and he is only here for his own entertainment. He does not care what happens to anybody else. Absolutely selfish. I would say young Gojo is on the selfish ideals because Gojo did not accept this idea of I need to protect others, I need to protect those who are weak, until Geto left, right? It's like basically when Geto went through his whole mental shift and he was thinking like, yo, should we be protecting the humans, or are the humans like cattle? Cause like they don't give a fuck about us. Like after the whole Rika Amane, plasma star vessel thing, his mental was just absolutely fucked, and he just did not know what to think anymore. So his world was turned upside down, right? Once he decided to go on the path that he went on and became like evil Geto, that is when Gojo pretty much took on the mantle of old Geto and became a person of, we need to protect others, we need to protect the weak. But he still kind of had his own twist on it where he was like, we just need to make the weak stronger, basically, so they can protect themselves. But like before that, Gojo was a selfish ideals. Gojo had said things like, yo, why don't we just destroy everybody in sight, blah, blah, blah. We're the strongest. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. If anything happens, we can literally just wipe all the fucking elders of the Jujutsu High because they were trying to save Rika Amane or whatever, right? But selfish ideals. Young Gojo, but not older adult Gojo. I also put Nobara in selfish ideals because Nobara is literally just like, it's not a bad thing to be selfish. Selfish has a negative connotation, and it is not bad to be selfish. To be selfish means that you understand the thing that you need to pay attention to the most in your life to make the most ample change. That is what being selfish means. But they try to spoon feed you this idea that being selfish is bad and that you should sacrifice all parts of yourself for other people. Bullshit. How do you give people food off of your plate if your plate is empty? Think about that one, chat. But we're going to move on past the philosophy. Nobara would definitely be a selfish ideals character. She literally moved to Tokyo and decided to take on a life of fighting curses where she could possibly die just so she could live in the city. She was tired of her life in the country. And I'm not going to say she abandoned everything. She had people that she really cared about in her city, but then they moved away. So she was kind of like, all right, well, I'm going to move to the city at this point. Like, fuck it. And she was looking for somebody too, like just a self-driven quest, right? Maybe not selfish ideals. It sounds bad when I say it like that, but like self-driven people, right? Some Megumis would be in the category. Not all Megumis, but like I feel like Megumi beyond the point of using Chimera Shadow Garden, where he's kind of like, yo, I am going to let loose a little bit. I am going to be a little reckless a little bit, right? Any Megumi with that mentality would be on selfish ideals. But then any Megumi who's like, yo, I'm going to save others how I choose to. I'm going to fight for Yuji, make sure Yuji's okay, blah, blah, blah. Those would be maybe some other Megumis that would be on another category, which funny enough, I have another category lined up for that. But we'll talk about it in a second. Then Maki, selfish ideals, of course. Maki literally does not care what her family says to her, and Mai tries to sell and prescribe Maki this idea that she is absolutely breaking apart their life because she is deciding to fight for herself. And honestly, in all reality, Mai just needs to fight for herself and everything will be perfectly fine. If she actually practiced to make her technique stronger and actually fought for herself, it would have been okay. But hey, bro, the story ends up how it ends up, and Mai acts how she acts. But Maki, selfish ideals, self-driven person. Mai, selfish ideals. She is just in this shit for money. She literally looked at somebody and said, what is the difference between you and me? I knew what this cost me, and like honestly, bro, I'm about my bread. And then she waxed that man, like something of that nature. Mai is psychotic, bro. But that is it for the selfish ideals category. But you guys kind of see what I'm going for here. I'm not necessarily trying to make it like just this category. Like I don't want it to be so simple, cut, clear, standard. I like categories that are open to interpretation, right? Because some characters can now. I like categories that are open to interpretation because we can get interesting character combinations, interesting character interactions amongst those vague ideas, right? For categories. But One thing I would not like is in Dokkan, for example, they drop certain categories where some characters should certainly be in the category, but they're not in the category, and you don't know why. And like, you read the description for the category, and then you literally look at the character that they release, and you literally break down the moment that the character's from, and you're just like, how are they not in this category, right? So I don't want it to be like that in Dokkan, where like sometimes they sell the bag. I feel like categories would be a lot more specific in this, and they need to take a lot more care to pay a lot more attention to make sure that they are hitting the mark for every single character who actually would belong in a category. But let's go ahead and move on to category number 5, I believe. So the next category that I have, I guess I can start looking at characters who will be an example of the category, right? The next category that I have is those who fight for others. So these are characters who necessarily do not have to, who do not fight for themselves, who do not have selfish ideals at the forefront of their mind. They could have some selfish ideals somewhere, but like, it is not their main prevalent driving force. Rather, their driving force is a ideal that, you know, I should be fighting for somebody else. I should be fighting to protect somebody else. Characters who would fit in this category: Nanami. If we remember a little bit about Nanami, Nanami was a salaryman, and he started fighting curses to get out of his boring salaryman life. Then he went back to his salaryman life, and then I think he had a realization that like, he could either be helping people as a salaryman, or he could be helping people as a jujutsu sorcerer, and he felt that he was more impactful as a jujutsu sorcerer because he's helping people actually live, versus being a salaryman, you help people balance their finances, right? Or something like that. But like, being a jujutsu sorcerer, you are literally on their life on the line, helping people live. And honestly, bro, just a moment to spotlight this man, Nanami. Nanami was really the OG, really was the GOAT, because like, Nanami was literally just a salaryman, no kids, no wife, no interest, no nothing, just a salaryman. Then he started doing jujutsu, and like, literally, he was really just locked in for the next generation. He was like, yo, I'm here to make sure that these next motherfuckers like learn, bro. That is the main thing that I'm here for. I'm a professional jujutsu sorcerer, but I'm also here to make sure that like Yuji gets the education that he needs on this shit. Right? When Nobara was in trouble, you know what I'm saying? He pulled up, he made sure Nobara was good, and he's like, yo, I'm gonna handle this shit. Like, you chill here. I don't want you to get hurt. Nanami is out here for the youth for real. He is out here fighting for that next generation. But those who fight for others, some characters: Nanami, adult Gojo, Geto, because Geto actually wouldn't be a selfish ideal kind of character. Because even when Geto switched from, I said he was selfish ideals, and honestly, Geto wouldn't be selfish ideals. It would just be Genjaku. I get it. Sometimes I say Geto mistakenly because Genjaku has his body taken over, right? But basically, Geto, when he was a good guy, he was fighting for the weaker, you know, humans who couldn't use Jujutsu. Then when he becomes a bad guy, when he switches sides or switches mentalities, he becomes somebody who's just like, oh, there are some curse users who can literally not defend themselves. I'm here to like save the curse users. So in every sense, Geto has always been somebody who fights for others, but sometimes it doesn't seem that way because of the enemy that he is facing or killing or slaughtering whenever he's fighting for those others in question, right? But nonetheless, he will still be on fighting for others. Then Yuji, of course, some Megumis, once again, some Megumis care about fighting for others. Some Megumis care about his KD streak. You know, KD, bro. Then we have Ururume, who fights for Sukuna, who is like Sukuna's little attendant. We have Yuta, who wants to fight to protect others because he's strong and he just believes he should protect others. We have Takuma Ino. He fights for Nanami's approval and also fights to be there for the younger generation, because once he got up with Yuji and Megumi, he literally gave them like a crash course on like barrier, not a crash course, but like you can tell he has a very caretaker, big brother kind of energy where he's just like, yo, like, let's just make sure we're all on the same page. You guys got this? You guys good? And he likes to give you the information, right? He likes to make sure everybody's like fully following everything. And by the way, if you guys are fully following all these categories and you're enjoying this video, you can go down below. You can hit the like, you can hit the subscribe, you can hit the notification bell so you get notified every time the Dead Man decides to glide. You also comment down below, let me know what you want to know when the Dead Man lets that. But it's like you go. We're gonna keep going through these categories here. Another character who would be in those who fight for others would be Yaga. Because Yaga, I remember it during the hidden inventory arc, when Yaga was telling them to go watch the Star Plasma Vessel. Yaga said that like the Star Plasma Vessel thing was like an erasure. So Gojo and Geto literally were like, he always has such a roundabout way of saying this stuff, but like he thinks that this shit is wrong, basically, blah 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 blah. So like Yaga is a softie. He does like to make sure that everybody is allowed to live a full, you know, happy life, even if they are not necessarily in a situation that necessarily allows them to do so. And then who else? I put I put Miwa and Mekamaru in here too because they liked each other, and Mekamaru tried to fight so he could chill with everybody from the Kyoto school, and Miwa wanted to fight for Mekamaru as well and learn about Mekamaru more and often. But that is it for the those who fight for others category, and I'm not gonna lie, I got kind of quiet because that category. Think about that; those last two kind of bummed me out because I was just like, damn, Mekamaru and Miwa, and I'm just like, it's crazy how Miwa is never gonna get that motherfucking lunch with that boy. But we're gonna go ahead and move on to the 7th category. So I'm saying that this category is the traditionalist category. The traditionalist category would consist of people who kind of have like this old world ideals about jujutsu, right? So like it would be like a lot of the students from the Kyoto school basically, because traditionalists would mean like, okay, how Gakuganji said that Yuji is a curse and they're going to exterminate him, forget all the bullshit, blah, 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 blah. We're not with that shit Gojo's trying to do. None of that shit. Traditionalists, right? We're going to listen to the higher ups. We're going to kill this curse because that's what we do. We're not going to give anybody any wiggle room, even though they have the opportunity to control this curse, blah, 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 blah. Traditionalist, right? So you would look at characters like Kamo, anybody pretty much who openly accepted what this man Gakuganji said about Yuji and said like, yo, yeah, sure, we're going to absolutely murder this motherfucker. Anybody who accepted those ideals would be on the traditionalist category. So literally, Mai, Kamo, Momo, Mekamaru, like Miwa wouldn't be up there because Miwa, when they said that they had to kill him, Miwa was like, hey, yo, what? And like Todo was like, nah, I'm not killing him, I just want to box this man, right? So like everybody who was openly willing to go and just attack Yuji by himself unarmed, traditionalist category, plus Gakuganji obviously. If there's anybody else in the traditionalist category you can think of, you can throw them down below, but I'm going to go ahead and just go on to the next category because like this category is like full of like characters who you're kind of like, okay, whatever, bro. Let's move on. Now guys, this next category is quite literally just like, at this point I'm just pulling at straws here. I am just giving ideas as a basis for Billy to see this and just be like, oh yeah, we could do something like that, right? You throw enough ideas, somebody's gonna say, damn, that one was pretty damn good, right? So you just keep throwing ideas out. This category is not as cohesive as some of the other ones that I have been saying, but like another one, Heavenly Pact. Anybody who is affected by a heavenly restriction or their cursed energy or their physical form is affected in some crazy extraneous way due to the way that they were born, right? So Toji, Maki, Mekamaru. Those are the only 3 characters that I can truly think of with like Heavenly Pact. I know that Maki's and Toji's are heavenly restriction, and then Mekamaru's is more like a pact. But honestly, let me pull it up on the side and just make sure I'm not missing anybody. Yeah, quite literally, the only heavenly restriction characters are Mekamaru and the 2 Zenins. So this category would not really be that great, but again, just another idea just to put it out there, because every mission does not necessarily have to say, if you look at Dokkan, all the missions do not say run an entire team of this category. Sometimes the missions literally say, oh, run like 4 characters of this category. Run like, this number of characters for this category. So it does not necessarily have to be an entire team, but it could be like majority of the team. If they have 3 characters, I'm going to go ahead and consider it at least somewhat reasonable that they could do a category, because they have at least half of a team, over half of a team of characters, right? We're going to go on to category number 8. Now we are on Sukuna, because category number 8 would be Heian era. All I am going to say is, in seasons 3 or 4 of Jujutsu Kaisen, you are going to get a lot of information on Heian era sorcerers. And at that point would be a perfect prime time to make a Heian era sorcerer category and drop Heian era sorcerers and give them all kinds of crazy buffs, while at the same time dropping, modern sorcerers and giving them other buffs. And honestly, as an inverse to the Heian era sorcerer category, then yes, there would be a modern sorcerer category as well, right? With all of the characters that are in the story from the beginning of the story who are alive already. But as of right now, Heian era would literally just be Sukuna and Kenjaku. We have to wait a little while longer before we see more Heian era characters, but the Heian era category will be absolutely grimy as shit. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it now, chat. Like, if you're not reading the manga, man, like that's cool. It's whatever. You might want to read the manga. It's already over now, so it's not like you're gonna be playing catch up. Like, literally, you know where you are going if you read the manga, and it's just a matter of you making it there if you feel like it, right? But Hienaera is going to be absolutely filthy, absolutely disgusting. A character that I named way earlier in the video, Yorozu. That's the Hienaera character. Kashimo, Hienaera character, right? So we're gonna have plenty of Hienaera characters pop out. Number 9 for my category ideas is family-based categories, right? Bloodline-based categories. So categories for the Zenin clan and any, obviously, Megami, Maki, Mai, Toji, any of those characters would be Zenin clan characters, whether their name says Zenin or not, because it is about the blood in your veins, not the name on your stains. I don't know what I was going with there, but yes, we could see a Zenin clan category, and just like we could see a Zenin clan category, we could also see a Kamo clan category whenever they add Kenjaku into, because Noritoshi Kamo basically is named after the originator of the Kamo clan, whose name was Noritoshi Kamo. Noritoshi Kamo is the original name of the brain that is in Geito's body during the events of Jujutsu Kaisen. So right now they're calling him Kenjaku, but Noritoshi Kamo is all Kamo clan, which technically by association makes all of the Cursed Moon paintings Kamo clan characters. So Kamo clan would be absolutely disgusting, along with the Zenin clan. Satoru clan unfortunately does not really get much help there, because it's just Gojo. But I'll be honest with you, dude, I remember one time Gojo was explaining to Megami that the 10 Shadow user and the 6 Eyes user from another generation had like killed each other in a even like battle. Dude, I think it would be really cool if they try to do some game original thing for that and they gave us another like Gojo ancestor or some shit like that, because Gojo is not his first name, that is his family name. Gojo's first name is Satoru, but if they gave us Satoru, but if they gave us like some crazy extra just like lore type shit, like Jiji Akutami's not even writing anything right now, bro. Give us some extra lore in the background. I want to see that fight between that 6 Eyes user and that 10 Shadows user. A lot of numbers there, but yes, that'd be really cool. But family bloodline trait kind of like categories could be a thing. And then guys, the last category that I have, and this one's like super simple, super easy. Arc-based categories. Okay, what does that mean? A category for hidden inventory, a category for Shibuya incident, category for the Calling game, category for the fight of the strongest. We'll figure out what that means. Category for origin of obedience, category for JJK 0, right? Just do, I said that already. No, I said hidden inventory, I think. But just do like different categories based on a story arc a character was in, or even literally named after the event that characters were in. There could be a category for a night parade of 1,000 demons for every character who interacted with that. There could be a freaking category for a category for the Shibuya, and I already said the Shibuya incident, but you guys see what I'm saying, right? And also, I just thought about it. They do like the 0.5 anniversaries on the hidden inventory stuff. I would actually like to see if they did the 0.5 anniversary on JJK 0 or something like that and expanded more on that verse of characters as well and gave us more characters from that side, because as you remember, JJK 0 celebration was the first time they gave us a free character and apparently the only time. But guys, that is it for my category ideas. If you did like any of those category ideas, you can go down below. You can leave a like on the video. You can also subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get notified every time the Deadman Decides Guide. And also, comment down below and let me know, what categories would you want to see in the game? Now that we're actually through all of the categories that are currently in the game, and I'm just throwing out some, spitballing some ideas for categories, what do you guys want to see as categories? What do you want Billy to lock in and do? Or do you hate the ideas of categories? Like, however you feel about it, comment down below and let me know. But guys, just understand the interaction is very important. And I absolutely love being able to communicate with you guys so directly through the YouTube comments and get more content out of the nature that you would like, and also just kind of like get more insights about stuff. But again, if you guys did like the video, you can go ahead and do all the things that the Deadman already said. The Deadman does love you and hopes that you have an excellent, wonderful night, day, or life wherever you're at. But the Deadman is going to sign out.